I, 26 male, have a young grammar school-age son, Ali, with my ex, Caitlin, 26 female. Caitlin has not been actively involved in the past 4 years, by her choosing. She hasn't seen Ali in a year, and I have sole custody. By court order, Caitlin is supposed to pay child support. I have to harass her for it every month, threatening to go to court until she pays. I'm doing it all on my own otherwise. The day-to-day care, doctor's appointments, dance, soccer, school, nursing every fever, soothing every nightmare. And I truly don't mind. I love my little boy. It doesn't change that it can be exhausting and emotionally draining. I have asked Caitlin to help more, but she says she's uninterested. I finally gave up. That being said, Caitlin expects me to facilitate all contact. She gets mad if I don't initiate the court-ordered weekly FaceTime call, when, according to the court, she's the one who has to call. It's the same if I don't have my son call her, even on Ollie's birthday. She just can't be bothered. I finally stopped doing all of that because it's not my job. And half the time when I call, she doesn't answer. If Caitlin sends gifts for Ollie, it's a crapshoot. She usually doesn't even send a card. If she does send a gift, she tells, not ask, me to wrap it, put her name on it, and buy a card. I did in the beginning until this past birthday. Ollie's learning to read and has asked why his mom's card looked identical to mine. I just said that I was helping his mom out. But it made me realize just how much labor I was doing for Caitlin. My sister told me to stop all the effort. If Caitlin sends gifts, don't wrap them. Tell Ollie they're from his mom, obviously, but no more gift tags or cards. A few weeks ago, Caitlin told me what she was buying off the wish list. She added that she found them cheaper outside Amazon, so she'd be sending them herself. She told me to wrap them and get a card. I told her she could do that. She pointed out I was already wrapping gifts. I asked her if she was wrapping gifts for her boyfriend, family, etc. She said yes, but I could do this for her. I told her no, to put some effort in and just wrap them, as well as write a card herself, or at least just put a gift tag. But if she doesn't, I'll just give them to Ollie and say that they're for mommy. I don't think he'll care that they're unwrapped. He'll be happy to get what he wanted. Well, Caitlin called my bluff and sent them unwrapped. I put them in the closet and plan to put them out, as is, in the morning. Caitlin texted me a reminder to wrap them, and I said I already told you what I was doing. I'm done doing all the work for you. If you wanted to put in the effort, you could. I added that she lives 45 minutes away, and she could just come down and wrap them herself. Maybe even give them to Ollie herself. She said I was being an idiot and hung up. I'm starting to wonder if I should just wrap them, but I'm also just so tired of taking up for her. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your ex is a piece of work, though. On a side note, if you leave them in postal packaging, isn't that a form of unwrapping for your child? It's not pretty, of course, but it serves to hide what's inside. And document everything, just in case for any reason she feels she wants to try to get custody again. Good point, but I'm sorry. You are the idiot, OP. You're being a doormat for your ex. I get it. She's still Ollie's mom, but you don't owe her anything. It seems like she only wants to be a part of Ollie's life in order to exert any modicum of control over you that she can. The court has laid out how every interaction is to happen. You don't, and shouldn't, have to do anything other than what's outlined in a custody agreement. Ollie deserves better than you trying to uphold this falsehood of who his mother is, and so do you. Ex is being a lazy mom and expects you to do all the parenting. Nope. If she wanted her gift to be presented a certain way, she should have done the wrapping herself, since it's not that hard. LMAO, just put a bow on it and send a picture of it to your ex. There you go. Is that better? Girl can, at the very least, drop off a gift bag for his gifts. It's not that much effort. You're doing your best and being an excellent parent to your kid. And you're right. Gift wrap is less important than gifts to a young child. Please know that your son knows who his parents are and can see who's putting in the effort and who really isn't. My daughter is a tween and petrified of dogs, sobbing, screaming, shaking. She will literally wet herself by them just being within sight. She has PTSD, dog-related, and is in therapy for it. My brother's girlfriend has a service dog for mental health reasons. We were informed of the dog and tried one interaction. We had the exact same situation, crying, wet herself, clinging to her dad, screaming if he tried to put her down. My mom told us that they were planning for her to spend Christmas with the family. I said that would be fine, as long as the dog stayed home. I did comment that he's only for mental health, and she'll have my brother, so she won't need the dog desperately. My parents agreed and explained the conditions to my brother and his girlfriend, who broke down in tears. They think I'm alienating her. I disagree and think I'm protecting my daughter's peace. My brother's girlfriend argues that her dog is fine, and maybe his being friendly before upset her, so she won't let him greet anyone. I know from experience that doesn't work with my daughter. I told my parents if the dog was there, we would not be. They have, as such, declared the dog an unwelcome guest. My brother's angry because this is his first Christmas with his girlfriend, and we celebrate it every year with my parents. They should get this year. I don't think a girlfriend's more important than their grandchild, and my parents agree. Though my brother's words have been getting to me, I feel awful. So, am I the idiot for not allowing them? Not the idiot. The simple fact is that you gave your parents and your brother options. Your parents chose their grandchild over a dog for Christmas dinner. Your brother could have lunch or breakfast with your parents, but he's trying to push for the dinner for whatever reason. Christmas dinner is a family affair, not a parent-son-girlfriend-dog affair. He could have his girlfriend and her dog over earlier in the day and still come to dinner without his girlfriend and dog later. A dog does not come before a child, especially when the child is afraid of dogs and the dog belongs to a person who may not be in all your lives in 3 months, 6 months, or a year. Good on your parents for choosing your child over a dog. Also, I can't imagine being okay with that if I were the brother. I'd think, oh wow, I don't want to do that to my niece. How can a brother and girlfriend think, oh, but this little girl should be okay for our sake? How can they not work around this? And it's like for a girlfriend, not even a fiance or wife. Yeah, no, that's not that important at all. I promise you. Not over the safety and well-being of a child. A child who, if you can all not read, is literally in therapy to work on this issue. So maybe next year will be different. This year, the girlfriend and her dog can stay home and try again next year after some therapy if all works out. My husband and I were flying yesterday with our young toddler. He's very active, so we always buy him his own seat rather than putting him on our laps for the flight. We had bulkhead seats, those at the front of the cabin with extra leg room. When we boarded, the flight attendants told us to belt baby to one of us for takeoff and landing, and that once the seatbelt signs were off, we could settle him into his own seat. That was all fine. I put him in my lap and belted him to me while waiting for the other passengers to board. As the last people were boarding, another flight attendant came toward us, with a tall guy using a cane. She pointed at the empty seat between me and my husband and asked the dude if that would be okay. My husband said, "Excuse me, what do you mean?" Flight attendant, this gentleman is in some pain and needs space to stretch his legs. The only bulkhead seat we have open is between the two of you. If you'd like to move next to each other, I'm sure the gentleman wouldn't mind sitting in the aisle or the window. Me, that's not an open seat. That's a baby seat. Flight attendant, Madam, children under 2 aren't allocated seats. Please let the gentleman sit down. We had blankets and a couple of kiddos' toys in the middle seat. Husband, taking out passports and boarding cards to show her. Yes, we know. You don't give infant seats, which is why I paid for it. My son is sitting here. I'm not holding him for a 10-hour flight at night. We planned ahead, and I'm sorry, but this man can't sit here. The flight attendant went and got the head flight attendant, who agreed with us, and they carried on to find the dude an open aisle seat. The flight took off 15 minutes later, so I'm assuming it all got sorted. But when we told my husband's family after the flight, his parents started going on about how that's what's wrong with this generation. Apparently, we don't consider others enough. Not the idiot. His poor planning does not sacrifice an adjoining seat you planned and purchased. The attendant was trying to bully you into submission. The basic needs of your family come before the comfort of a stranger. 10 hours in your lap sounds miserable for kids and parents. That's what's wrong with this generation? We don't consider others enough? Yeah, and your parents' generation doesn't know when to shut up and keep their opinions to themselves. There's being considerate, and there's falling on swords. And your parents' generation didn't do the latter either. If someone needs legroom, they need to book an appropriate seat for themselves. They can't turn up and expect others to give up their seats. It has nothing to do with which generation they're in, and I'm annoyed with OP's mother for saying that. And I'm 65. OP, you should absolutely get what you pay for. You shouldn't even have been put in that position. The flight attendant offered the seat without even checking if it was really open. Once the flight attendant knew the facts, the attendant should have apologized to you and moved on. They can't take your money and then pressure you to give up what you've paid for. I'm a 38-year-old female. I've been with my boyfriend for 4 years now. His ex has always been an issue, but we deal with it. He has a teen son. I don't have much of a relationship with him because his mom doesn't like the fact that his dad has moved on after the divorce, and she hasn't. She was caught cheating, by the way, and the man she cheated with went back to his wife, so she's bitter towards us. Now, my boyfriend and I have been making plans for my birthday. We planned a day together, going on a short road trip and then dinner. My boyfriend already told his ex that he would be out of town that day if their son needed anything. Everything was fine up until that morning. He gets a call that his son's mother has decided to go out of town and she's dropping their son off. I asked him to inform her that we had plans, as discussed previously, and she needed to adhere to the plans. It was her weekend to have him anyway. My boyfriend refused. Any other time, I tell him his kids come first, but this was my day. This was one day out of the year that I asked to be accommodated. I never asked for anything during the holidays. This is just my day. His son gets bored quickly and constantly complains, so the entire day will be miserable with him constantly wanting to go home. My boyfriend asked if we could reschedule. I told him no. This is the one time I asked him to do it for me, and he can't. I told him to have a great day with his son. I was going to celebrate by myself. He got mad and said I wasn't being fair. I explained to him that it wasn't fair for him to cower down to his ex-wife and stick to the plans. She knew we were going out of town, so I left and did my own thing by myself. Am I the idiot for celebrating my birthday without him? Not the idiot. Since it was her weekend to have the kid, she did it on purpose. The only reason she did this is because your boyfriend allowed her to. He should have stood firm. It was her weekend. She knew you guys had plans, and she was manipulative. You don't have an ex-wife problem. You have a boyfriend problem. Why did he tell her anything at all? If there was an emergency, he could have been reached. There was zero reason to give her any information at all about the weekend plans. She can't manipulate and weaponize what she doesn't know about. She's already shown a history of being spiteful and petty, so telling her was waving a red flag in her face. How was this a surprise to either of you? I suggest you set a clear boundary that she's never again to have information on what your plans are when the kiddo's not in the house. Ever. Honey, it would be a deal breaker for me. She did this to exert her control over him, and he caved. If he had told her no, she would have had to make other arrangements or cancel her trip out of town. It wasn't his problem to solve, as it was her weekend with their son. He prioritized her ego over your birthday. She cheated because she didn't respect him. So seeing him be weak with her would permanently give me the ick. Now both you and the ex-wife know that she can snap her fingers and disrupt your relationship. Your boyfriend's not ready for a relationship until he can establish and maintain boundaries with his ex-wife. My husband has food insecurity and overeats even when he's not hungry, out of fear of it all being eaten before he gets to taste it. Every item of snacks or soda in this house that is bought is gone within a few days because he binges until it's gone. And he's told the kids they couldn't have more dinner because there wasn't enough, so that he could eat it later. I was at work for that one. I did make him get therapy, but it's not doing much good because he doesn't apply himself at all. He thinks it's pointless and refuses to do the steps they provide. Today I bought stuff for lasagna and bought myself a big salad because I can't eat red sauce. Within an hour of being home, he was already in the fridge asking if he could have my salad because he was starving. I said no originally, but he kept prying and said, "Come on, please, I'll share it with you." I said, "What the heck, whatever," and walked off. He let me have 3 bites. I tossed it in the trash. This was not even 10 minutes before I started cooking. He said multiple times, "I'm so full. Now my belly hurts," or "I ate too much," which is common for him. But I was still salty about it, honestly. So I only made a half a sheet pan of the lasagna, which would only feed the kids. My husband said he was so full anyway. I give the kids their food 20 minutes later. I prep, so cooking takes 0 time at all. I tell them they can finish the pan off. Well, my husband comes out and sees the lasagna and says, "Oh, that's what I'm talking about." I said, "Absolutely not. You just ate my dinner, and you were full 30 minutes ago. This is the kids' food." I didn't say this in front of the kids. He says I'm a royal witch because he needs the lasagna, and it's going to send him backward because now I'm withholding food from him. Edit. My husband is not healthy. He's 5'10" and 250 pounds. He's a big guy. He was 180-ish when we met. They're my kids, not his biologically. I didn't know he had these issues, and he only openly showed these behaviors starting maybe 6 months ago. Before this, by his own admission, he'd been hiding food in his car so we couldn't touch it because he was afraid we would eat it all. Issues stemming from foster care. Not the idiot. If he's going to therapy and refusing to do the work, he's not going to therapy. He's just making therapy-adjacent hand motions. You are right to be furious. However, being furious isn't going to help in the long term. Your husband's disordered eating is affecting the whole household. He wants to eat the children's food, even though he was full 20 minutes ago. Not only is he modeling atrocious behavior to your children, but he's also going to wind up sending them the same way, eating fast because someone else is going to eat it if they don't. It's time to stop doing this. If he doesn't want to change his disordered eating, he won't. He's getting everything he wants right now. All the food that anybody else needs is his. Classic addict behavior. He isn't moving forward, so what is there to send him backward? My dad grew up in poverty in a developing nation. He rarely got food. The way he talked about getting a Coca-Cola as a treat once when he was a kid brought tears to my eyes because the way he spoke about it, you would have thought it was a bar of gold and not a soda. He would have starved rather than deny me a second helping of dinner. I literally cannot fathom him doing what your husband did to your kids. He has a severe problem, and he needs to get a darn grip before this behavior starts rubbing off on your children. You're hurting your kids by staying with him. And they're not his kids biologically, which I think is what makes his actions so severe, the competition against them. I always wonder why people don't vet their potential spouses over long periods. If he showed progress from therapy, he'd be redeemable. But you don't need this guy inhaling food like a vacuum.